Shalom, shalom, Israel. First off, giving our praise to the Most High and to his son, Yahweh Shah. Phones on silence, like Captain Fault. But today's class is no respect of persons. And we're going to touch on this subject today for the brothers and sisters and for all of Israel that's out there tuning in, because the scriptures say they judge righteously according to the scriptures, man. Because guess what? The Most High would jack up the brother that's over the count as well as the soldiers. You know, there's no respect of persons, man, because if brother is dealing in wickedness, if the brothers is the leader of the count, guess what? He should be brought righteous judgment just as well as a soldier or a member in that congregation, man. So we're going to touch on this. Like I said, it'll be a little quick class. Verse precept, Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17. When you get there, officer, y'all read that for me out.
Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17. Ye shall not respect persons in judgment.
It says, ye shall not respect persons in judgment. These are part of the laws. So when you see a brother or sister that's out of order, guess what? We are to correct them with the scriptures. Judgment is throughout all the scriptures. The Most High loves judgment, man. That's why our nation is in disarray, because we're not judging. Like we say, judging and condemning is two different things. We're not condemning people. Judging, according to the Bible, is just correction. So guess what? We ought to correct our brothers and sisters when we see them out of order, because that's what maintains a great nation, man. Because like a lot of times we see that you can't tell me nothing, but that's not what the scriptures say. You can't judge me. That's Tupac. That's not the Bible. You know, people got to come up out of that mentality. Read that from the top again.
Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great.
Guess what? You should hear the small matters from the small men, or the great matters from the great men. Guess what? Everybody is of the nation of Israel, man. No one person is higher than the nation, man, especially in counts, because we did a class called, Are You Being a True Servant of the Most High? Whenever you get into a higher position, guess what? You're supposed to be even more of a servant to your nation of people, man. Read on,
Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man.
Because guess what? A lot of times in so-called camps, guess what? People are afraid of the face of man, man. Brother can be totally out of order, but they won't say nothing because guess what? Because of his title. That's going into having respect of persons. Because if a brother is out of order, what do? Correct him through the scriptures.
And the thing is, even when the person, like a lot of time when people get caught up when a person is in the leadership, or they get to hollering and being belligerent, but that don't mean nothing. The scriptures say what they say, man. The thing is, a lot of our people kind of waver in that thing, and from them doing that, you can make a brother or sister go off, but sometimes you can pull a brother or sister out of the truth by doing that too as well.
That's exactly right, man. So guess what? That's why the Most High God gave us these laws, because he understood, like even with the scribes and the Pharisees, they sat in Moses' seat, but guess what? They was having respect of persons amongst themselves, you know, telling people to do something, but they themselves would not be doing it. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Give me Matthew chapter 23 and verse 6. Real quick. Like we said, it'll be a quick little class, kind of touch on a few things, because this is an important class as well, man, especially for brothers and sisters that's trying to gather amongst their people. And just like Ox said, for not keeping that one law, man, that can pull brothers and sisters out the spirit, man. Or worse, pull them out the truth, man. When you get there, read that, officer, y'all.
Matthew 23, verse 6. And love the uppermost rooms.
We start at verse 1.
Get some more context.
Matthew chapter 23, verse 5.
Start at verse 1, 23 and 1.
Matthew 23, verse 1. Then spake Yahweh Shah to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat.
They sat in Moses' seat, meaning they sat in the seat of authority, or sat in the seat to give out the correction to the people. Just like who's supposed to be doing it today? Our modern day pastors. They're supposed to be giving our people the correction that they need. That's why you see our neighborhoods all out of whack. Because guess what? The pastor is not giving our people, thus said the laws according to the Bible. Read on now.
The scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore, whatsoever they bid, you observe.
So Christ was giving them insight. The things that they tell you, do that. Read on out.
Hold up. And the reason why he's saying that, because when you go to Malachi chapter 2 and verse 7, it said the priest's lips should keep knowledge and they should seek the law in his mouth. So that's the reason why he was telling them, hey, they are the priests. Hey, listen to what they say, because they teaching. They're supposed to be teaching you out of the law of the Bible. Go ahead,
Read on out.
All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe.
So Christ said, observe what they bid you. Read on out.
That observe and do.
He said, observe and do. That do is an action word. Do the things that they took side to that. Read on out.
But do not ye after their works.
Read on out.
For they say and do not.
He said, but don't follow after their actions. After their, when we go into, what is that? One of the famous ones, Matthew 15 and 7. You know, where they were saying that it was a breaking God's law not to wash your hands before eating. That's good hygiene, but that's not a commandment of God. That's right. That is a tradition of man. So Christ was giving us the insight on that. Read on out.
Verse 4, for they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne.
That word born right there means to be carried. Read on up.
And lay them on men's shoulders. But they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers.
Hey, with one of their fingers. They weren't doing nothing that the scriptures were saying. That's that respected person. Hey, I'm in authority. I don't have to do nothing. All I need, just give orders. Give orders and not do anything. Guess what? The leaders are always the one that lead by example. We always set the tone. You got some up? Go ahead.
Verse 5. But all their works they do for to be seen of men.
And that's what they doing today, even with TD Snakes. What is all the things that he doing, man? To be seen of men. He ain't really out there really trying to help our people, because guess what? If he was, he'll be teaching them who they are, first of all, and the commandments. Because like we always bring out, the solution to black on black crime is what? Leviticus 19 and 17. You know, the solution to STDs in our communities is what? Marry our sisters. That is the solution. So when we teach God's laws, that helps better us as a nation. Read on up.
They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments. Going
into the fringes, having a big kung fu grip fringes, blowing in the wind. See my fringes, you know I'm righteous.
And then it also goes into, just like, man, we leadership, man, we're gonna dress way better y'all now. Y'all can't get like us. Man, y'all can't get our outfits now. Y'all can't be like this now. Guess what? We all supposed to be able to get a good outfit, man. We all supposed to be able to get a good going. But guess what? If I'm over the counter, they be like, hey, man, you can't dress better than Grandpa. Nah, that ain't how they go, man. Guess what? We got to lean on the scriptures, man.
And the thing about that is, man, Israel should be the main people with this shit being better than us. The way we get treated unjustly and unfair in America, and we always say they don't get the same treatment as us. But then they come to Israel and all of a sudden want to give respect to person. But then they complain about it when they was in the world or with everybody else. You know, like when we see them going to court, doing the same thing we did, we get 30 years, they get probation, if that. Right. So it should be something that's already something that we should easily see. So, because we always been seeing it before. So don't get in mad we in Israel now. All of a sudden, we act like we, hold on, well, you know, he better, but I take that back. Never mind, because you do learn that. I forgot. We learned that in church.
Read verse 6.
Verse 6. And love the uppermost rooms at feast, and the chief seats in the synagogue.
Want to have a head table in charge, man. But guess what, man? With that seat comes a great responsibility, man. Guess what? It's your job not to just sit and like lord over the congregation. Go out and meet your congregation. Go out and get to know who it is in the congregation, man. Because like we say, the higher position you get, the more of a servant you need to become. Right. Read on up.
I got a precept.
Bring that up.
The book of Matthew, chapter 20 and verse 25, going into what you just was talking about, landing back to brother. But Yahushua called them unto him and said, ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. You know, when the other nations in control, they love to dominate their people. Well, the Lord said we work different. Verse 26, but it shall not be so among you, but whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever shall be chief among you, let him be your servant.
I read that again, verse 27.
And whosoever
More of a servant. Go ahead,
verse 28, even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom.
Because guess what? Christ, Yahushua, he was the ultimate servant, man. He gave us the perfect example when, guess what? He washed Peter's feet. Now, this is a man endowed with all wisdom and knowledge. And guess what? He carried the status of a servant, man. Serving Israel, giving his life for us. So these are the things that, guess what? We are to adhere to and not be puffed up by vain glory. Because a lot of times brothers get that power and that thing goes to their head, man. And they forget that, guess what? We doing the work of the Most High God, because you don't know what you're going to be in the kingdom, man. Like we say, you might be a giant, you might be at the bottom, man. So guess what? Have that same respect for your brother and for your sisters as well, man. This is one thing that, guess what? Brothers need to understand and need to apply the commandment to their everyday lives, man. Let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17.
Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17. Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man.
Don't be afraid of the face of man. And I can understand that to a degree. That's why brothers and sisters need to constantly be strengthening their spirit. You strengthen your spirit by two things: praying that the Most High give you a double portion of the prophets of old spirit, and guess what? Fasting. These are the things that helps strengthen your spirit. Read on out.
Can we have I read that again?
Yeah, go ahead out.
Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man.
That's what our people need to learn that's in these different groups and camps, that even though you may not know much, you shouldn't be afraid of the face of man. That man that's over that camp or that organization is just a man. He's not Yahushua. He's not the Most High. So we know a lot of our people be scared about stuff that's going on and say anything about that. Well, the Lord said, don't be scared of the face of man.
And that's the main reason why even us, when we put our contact on the bottom of our YouTube page, on our Facebook page, we always keep our contacts out there because of it. You know, even though we're in a leadership role, we want people to know, guess what? If we put something out there and y'all got a question of what we put out, come address us. Come talk to us. If people that's in this congregation, guess what? If y'all got a question about what we went over, or if you got a question about anything that's going on in your life, guess what? You shouldn't be so hard that you can't deal with a person. And even if we give you a strange look here, brother, I'm asking you a question. Can you answer this thing?
That's
right. You know, that's where you should be.
What's the saying? Put your pants one leg on at a time.
Exactly. And that's the thing, because guess what? The scriptures tell you, be always ready to give an answer to anyone that asks it, man.
And we should, as you come into Israel, that you really need to apply this, because a lot of people in the Christian church is terrified to ask their pastor.
That's exactly
and that's
right.
why we're in the situation we're in. Because soon as you start questioning their doctrine and you want to go ask the pastor, they're going to shut it down.
And everybody at this table have been rebuked before by each other, by someone else. There's nothing that ain't nothing we can't handle, ain't nothing we afraid to get done. They have to happen to us. We want that because we want to stay in line too. We might not see some things on us. Tell us, hey, man, you know, you going off a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't, even if he blow up. Oh well, you know what I'm saying? Hey, the word say that. I didn't say it.
That's exactly right.
And let me bring this precept out on that, because we can't have pride on us.
That's right.
Leadership, nobody in Israel need to have pride on them. Book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 18. It said, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So if we know these scriptures, what kind of fools will we be to be sitting up here, which it is some out there, sitting up here with pride on us when it's clearly telling us pride go up before destruction. So we're going to get prideful when this is the Most High stuff. This ain't our stuff. This ain't, the battle axes don't belong to us. It belongs to the Most High.
That's right.
That whole name process comes from the Most High.
And guess what? All these camps' name belongs to the Most High. You know, first and foremost, we have to understand that we doing the will of the Father. Right. We don't get no glory in this. All glory goes to the Most High God. That's right. And that's how you have to keep it, man. Now go ahead.
So we're gonna do verse 19. This how us brothers up here. I don't know how nobody else can see it, but this is what we do every day, and that's why we keep checks and balances on each other. Verse 19. Better it is to be of an humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. We'd rather have that humble spirit with the lowly than to have that pride on us, man, because we've seen it before.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17.
Start in the middle. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's.
The judgment is the Most High God. He just set brothers up here in a leadership position, but guess what? The judgment is the Most High. It's His on how we go through the scriptures.
Hold on, let me get something else out there too, because every time I know, sometimes we be afraid of. We're not afraid of our own people; we'll cuss them out. But we're afraid of these other nations, and we ain't supposed to have respect to person for them either. Give me Limitations 4 and start at 16. It's that hard book to find, huh? Everybody that ran away from the book. Everybody got it? I know it's one that y'all better go to. 4 and 16.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 16. The anger of the Lord had divided them. He will no more regard them. They respected not the persons of the priest.
See, we ain't supposed to respect these people that when he divided, we ain't got to respect they priests neither. Joel Osteen, we ain't got to respect them on TV because you supposed to be able to tell them, man, y'all ain't doing nothing but preaching live. I don't care what they talking about, man. They can come out. I wish they come. I wish at any time they open the Bible on us, please. We beg them to. Go get your Jeroboam asking every week. Go get your pastor. Bring him down there. I mean, shoot, he blowing a big bubble because he said he's gonna chew him up like bubble gum. He just been sitting there chewing for the last.
Patiently waiting.
Yes, for the last 2 years. Go ahead.
They respected not the persons of the priests. They favored not the elders.
And you ain't got to favor these elders of this nation. And this is Most High when he was talking about these other nations at the time when we was under them. He said, man, don't even respect them. Well, because, boy, they showed, they respect them, but, boy, when it comes to Israel, boy, either they don't have respect or disrespect. Mm-hmm. One or the other. But that's all I needed on that.
Give me Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 15.
Yeah, I got that one too. I got it.
Yeah.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment.
So read that again.
Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment.
Brother Kenyon, what is righteousness according to the Bible? What precept you got for that?
I know righteousness is keeping the law, but I don't.
You get it up.
Help him out, brother.
I just can't remember the precepts.
Deuteronomy 64:25.
Say it again.
Deuteronomy 6 and 25.
Oh, praise God.
Thank you.
Everybody said
64 and 25. We all look at it like that.
My Bible doesn't say.
Read that again.
Leviticus 19 and 15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment.
Don't do unrighteousness in judgment, because a lot of times brothers in leadership, guess what? They don't always bring the correct judgment, man. Guess what? The Most High gives us the judgment through the scriptures, and we got to follow that to a T, man. Because guess what? You don't want your judgment to be off, because that judgment could pull a brother or sister out of the spirit, man. We got to be careful on the authority that the Most High has given us, man, and not abuse it, because you know how people can abuse power when they get a little power behind them. You know, that brother at the job, the sister at the job, hey, let that power go straight to their head, and then we the ones that's on their hit list 9 times out of 10 are our own people, man. You know, so we have to be careful about that.
Yeah, we should be prepared, and you should be prepared to ask those little questions like he asked about righteousness, because sometimes you got leaders, sometimes they might be saying righteous, but they might be talking about their own righteousness or some other kind of righteousness. So a lot of times those little questions, what you mean by righteous? so he can go get the precept for you. And you get the understanding of, okay, now I know what you're saying. Because sometimes we got people in Israel that be in their own world. I mean, doing they go off sometimes.
They do.
I'm talking about leaders. I'm talking about, y'all can understand. We done seen some big time leaders go straight off the cliff.
And see, but the thing is, that's what I was telling y'all about in last class. I was like, man, and the more and more you grow into this walk, don't be surprised when you see leaders go off. That's not a surprising thing. They've been doing it since the beginning, man. They have always been going off. But the thing is, the Most High always been jacking their butts up too.
And the thing is, the Bible is the ultimate indicator to let you know if people are going off. If it's not thus said the Lord or thus said my leader, guess what? That's going off. Because we are to obey God, this Bible, rather than me. That's first and foremost. Read verse 15 from the top again.
Leviticus 19:15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the persons of the poor.
So just because a brother don't have a lot of money, guess what? We treat him just as we would treat our own selves, as a brother that has a lot of money, man. Read on now.
Nor honor the persons of the mighty.
Guess what? Even with the persons of the mighty, he's just a man of the Most High God that's supposed to be doing the work. So you don't want to have respect of persons, especially when you see that the brother is going off, man. Now, the thing about it is you want to do it decently and in order. Apply Matthew 18 and 15. We're going to cover that as well. Read on now.
Ye shall not respect the persons of the poor, nor honor the persons of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor.
But in righteousness, in God's laws, thou shalt correct thy neighbor. That's what that word judge is going into. So guess what? This Bible is made for our correction. No matter if you're on the top or no matter if you're on the bottom, man. Yeah. First and foremost, give me the book of Romans, chapter 2 and verse 11.
Make it precept for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me go to, I don't know, I'll pull this a lot too. First Maccabees 1:11. This is why we got to have no respect to person. Because everybody just saying, oh, they done changed their name, got Yasharal on the back, Israel, all these long names with that you see all on face. Just because they done got that name do not mean they this righteous. They just, even though I know I'm Israel, oh well. Are you doing these laws? Because one thing that's in Israel, and read that out.
First Maccabees 1:11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
It's wicked men in Israel. Remember, you can't just trust everybody because they talking about, I'm an Israelite. Shalom, sister. You doing good, sis. You looking good. That's what he's really on his mind, yeah. But at the same time, it's wicked Negroes in Israel, man. That's why you gotta know. That's what it is. What is that? The tribe frame.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's why I tell you the tribe frame. You gotta look at people, man. Period. Be around them. That's why we do our little old things. When you out in the woods and camping with people, you begin to know who they are. And the Bible says, don't even trust no man anyway.
That's right. Because the brother got that look in his eye, looking like Leon London Love.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded men, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen.
Come on, let's go on over to Mount Zion Baptist Church over here. They preaching that same stuff. You just have that Bible too. They persuade you. And here you are, next thing you know, you up there doing your little dance on Sunday. Oh, I forgot about the Sabbath. Yeah, because it's men out here that persuade you. Women too. Negroes don't be fooled. Don't think that just, oh yeah, ooh, she look like. Yeah, she look like she gonna have you in that burning pit. Go ahead.
With the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Oh man, and that's what they try to get y'all to do to go. That's all they are. We got people in there trying to get you to slowly go back into the world. Versus, let's just go out and we're just gonna go enjoy ourselves. Next thing you know, you back out there clubbing. Next thing you know, you back out there just having the blunt at the park out there. Next thing you know, you're doing everything back in the world. Don't even know how you got there. And that's because there's people out here persuade. That's why we can't have respect for person when we come here. When you see that, you need to say, hey, no, I'm not, no, No.
Read. Let's go back. Oh, you finished
Yeah,
your thought?
I'm finished.
Let's go back to Leviticus 19 and 15. Oh, we're gonna go there after this.
Leviticus 19 and 15.
Oh no, that's why we finished that. That's a lot. Give me Romans chapter 2, verse 11.
Yeah,
Because guess what? It's saying the same thing in the New Testament. I know a lot of times, brothers and sisters, we pray that they come up out of Christianity. They thinking that the New Testament is saying something different from the Old Testament. But guess what? It's just quoting the old. That's all that it's doing. Read that out.
Romans chapter 2, verse 11. For there is no respect of persons with God.
And a lot of times they'll pull it and try to run when we out there on the streets. You know, they'll try to hurry up and run. That's why brothers put them in the corner. Hey, you ain't gonna run when we break this down. You're gonna stay there and get the answer right. Oh, we're not gonna be dealing with you like that, because they love to cut and run, man. But give me Exodus chapter 2 and verse 25. We all should know this precept. We know that the Most High does not have respect of persons. But guess what? Let's see who he does respect.
Oh, yeah. All praise.
Exodus chapter 2, verse 25. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them.
Read that again.
And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them.
So guess what? The Most High respects us out of all the nations that he done created on the planet. But guess what? Even within that context, guess what? He still don't respect us in person.
Because he's gonna judge us without respect.
Exactly.
Well,
The thing, if you being wicked, guess what? You're gonna get a judgment. Guess what? If you being righteous, guess what? You're gonna get a judgment. And he laid those things out in the commandments. Matter of fact, give me that right quick. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 26.
And on that, when he said he respect Israel, don't get proudful and think, "Ooh, he respect me." You know, no, don't get that proudful now. He respect us because our forefathers agreed to the terms and conditions that was given to them.
Exactly. And he only respect us if we follow through on those terms.
Exactly.
That's it. Because if we don't, this is what you're gonna get. Read this out.
Deuteronomy 11 and 26. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse.
Life or death. The Most High is simple, man. You know, you're gonna get a blessing if you keep the commandments, or a curse if you break the commandments. Read on up.
A blessing if ye obey the commandments of the Lord your God.
So nowhere, like we say, Christians love to go and say that God's laws are done away with, but I'm highly favored and blessed. Sister, stop it. Sister Betty, stop it. If you're not keeping the commandments, you are not blessed. Read on up.
Which I command you this day. And a curse if you will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God.
Read on up.
But turn aside out of the way, which I command you this day, to go after other gods, which ye have not known. And
that's what our people is doing today, because they're going after Sebo, which is Cesar Rozier. That's who they going after, man. They going after the cobblestone. Knowing dang on where they can't afford to go take the Hajj over there in Saudi Arabia, man. Our people need to stop that, man. Come up out of these things, because these were never our gods, man. These people put us in captivity, and that's how we learn those things. Just like with the Arabs, they had us in the sub-Sahara slave trade far longer. And guess what? Even to this day, right now, it's still some of our brothers and sisters over there in Yemen, still in hard bondage slavery, man. And they teaching them that garbage over there to be a Muslim and to be in Islam, just like Esau, the so-called white man. He forced Christianity on us in 1619, and we follow those things like it's Canaan or the scriptures, or thus saith the Lord. We got to learn to come up out of these things, brothers and sisters. Go back to Romans chapter 2, verse 11.
Romans 2, verse 11. For there is no respect of persons with God. For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law.
Read that again.
For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law.
And that is making it plain to brothers and sisters, because Christians love to go to Paul's writings. And guess what? Paul's writings are hard to be understood. They get caught up in that. But guess what? In the next scripture, it clears itself up. Read on down.
And as many have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law.
Shall be judged by that thing. So guess what? The Bible from Genesis to Revelation is all about judgment. How else are we going to know correction if we're not being judged for the things that we're doing wrong? We got to understand that. Like we say, the litmus test to get into the kingdom is, guess what? Judgment. If you keep the commandments, guess what? You get to walk through those pearly gates. But if you break them, guess what, man? What the Most High look like rewarding somebody that ain't do nothing or didn't do what he told them? It's just like with the parents, father and son at their house. We don't reward our children when they being disobedient. It's the same thing with the Most High God, man. He gave us commandments. Guess what? We ought to stay on that straight and narrow path. Read on up. For this is one of my favorite scriptures right here, man. Read this again. Read verse 13 up.
For not the hearers of the law are just before God,
but what are?
But the doers of the law shall be justified.
Hey, just because you hearing the laws every time the Bible is open, don't mean that, guess what, you're going to get to the kingdom. The Most High ways action. He's all about, are you going to do what is in the Bible? Are you going to do what I'm telling you to do in the scriptures? Because a lot of times that's what our people think. They think that they can just get into the kingdom by just saying that they believe. Oh, I have faith. But even with all those words, guess what comes action behind it? Even in James chapter 2, verse 16, guess what? Faith without works is what? That thing is dead, man. You know, we show our faith by our works and vice versa. Our works by faith. You got something? Go ahead.
To land it back off, you want to pull 1 Peter's chapter 1 and verse 17. To land it back off the brother going into that judgment. And if ye, shall, and if ye, 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 17. And if ye call on the Father, who without respect of persons judgeth according to every man's works, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear. So it's telling you that he judges every man according to his works without respect of persons. And we got to keep that in mind, man, like the brother said. Yeah, we know we Israel. A lot of people lose track. Oh, I'm Israel and think that's the end game. No. I mean, we held up to a higher standard.
That's right.
Once you know. So that means we can't be slacking. We got to get hard on our laws and statutes and commandments and doing what we got to do.
That's exactly right. Now let's go to Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 7. Start at verse 6.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chastised, and scourgeth every son whom he received.
So a lot of times, guess what? We understand that it's a higher order. We got the Most High, Christ, man, women, and child. Now, I know a lot of times, even with the sisters, guess what? If the brother is out of order, guess what? Guess who's going to jack that brother up? Christ, through the Most High. It's a pecking order. No one is above that order. The Most High sets up officers, captains, deacons, and bishops to, guess what? To help put checks and balances on leadership. A lot of times when brothers not keeping those checks and brothers ruling like a dictator, that is out of order. You rather get the judgment from your brothers or corrections from your brothers than from the Most High. Because the Most High's correction is no joke, man.
And also, if brothers ain't checking brothers and keeping everything in order, it's going to be chaos.
That's right.
And you going to clearly see the chaos because the Most High going to intervene and he going to get some things straight.
And let me get a precept on this. I'm gonna show y'all something right quick. Give me Sirach chapter 4 and verse 30. Some precept y'all should have highlighted. Most of y'all should have. Get there, I'll read that.
Sirach chapter 4, verse 30. Be not as a lion in thy house.
Read that again out.
Be not as a lion in thy house.
Because men of Israel, guess what? You can't be a lion in your own house, in your own household, or you can't be a lion in the congregation, man. That ain't how we roll that thing, man. Guess what? We call ourselves men of the Lord. We got to work as Christ worked with us. How are we supposed to forgive our people? How are we supposed to look at our people some type of way? And we expecting Christ or the Most High to look at us and, man, we doing the work real good. No, brother, you going off. Or if a woman dealing with a child wickedly, guess what? She going off. Or she dealing with her husband any kind of way, she going off. You can't do that, man. We can't be lions in our own house, man. Read up.
Be not as a lion in thy house, nor frantic among thy servants.
Yeah, you can't be frantic among your servants neither, man. You can't. When we dealing with our people, man, we got to be humble, man. We got to humble ourselves down, and we got to, guess what? Deal with each other as the scripture has said. Not in our own way. We got to do how the Most High laid it down for us to put it. Because guess what? Christ is lined up perfectly with the Most High, and we got to be lined up perfectly with Christ. The woman got to be lined up perfectly with us, and the child got to be lined up perfectly with the woman. Everything, nothing goes out of order with the Most High. We got to always keep this thing checks and balance all the time, man. We cannot rule this thing like a lion. Go ahead,
And like I say, that's the point, because guess what? That's what the brothers in leadership is for. To keep checks and balances. Because like we were just saying before, we don't want the Most High bringing his judgment. Because we know a lot of time his judgment, hey, it ain't gonna be nothing nice, man. Read Hebrews chapter 12, verse 6 again.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chastiseth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastity, God dealeth with you as with sons.
Guess what? If you endure that chastisement, guess what? You a son of the Most High God. Right now, Esau is not getting no chastisement. Letting you know he's not a son of the Most High God. Matter of fact, let's get that precept just to go real quick. Give me Zechariah chapter 9, verse 6.
Zechariah chapter 9, verse 6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod.
Ashdod today is modern day Tel Aviv. That is the capital of Jerusalem. So it's telling you a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. Who is dwelling in Ashdod today, Brother Stephen? That too, but we want to make it plain. Who's dwelling in Ashdod? Ashkenazi Jews, the fake Jewish people that's over there, man.
The Zionists.
Exactly.
All
Ashkenazi Judaism, all
Esau.
They not Ashkenazi and they not Jews.
Exactly. The Most High is saying a bastard should dwell over there. That's why they having gay parades and polluting our homeland. And guess what? These things ain't being dealt with like how we being over here being dealt with. Like we just said, sister just got killed. Another sister, one of our people just got killed in their homes again, man. The Most High is doing this because guess what? He trying to get our people to wake up. Wake up out of this deep sleep that America done put us in, man. He has to afflict us to get us to understand it's something not right here in America, man. Something not right when people in their homes and we still getting gunned down by the police, man. He's going to keep doing that and doing that because we know we have a lot of brothers and sisters that ask us these things. Why does this keep happening, brother? It's going to keep happening. Yeah. Sister, it's going to keep happening until Christ comes and until you repent and turn back to the law, statutes, and commandments, man.
And this wake-up calls on us as Israel, too. It's the belt getting on us because everybody else not getting that same whooping. That we're not going to go into it. But if you go into, I'll give you the scripture name. Was it 1 Maccabees 6 and 12? And then we don't get we getting our whooping. They not getting chastised. He said he letting their sins build all the way up. Right. So when he come and take revenge, if we get whooped, look at what we went through. So if they ain't never got punished, what you think their punishment gonna be when he comes back for them? It's gonna be devastating.
Exactly. It's gonna be dope. Like in Revelation. Go ahead.
Let's back that up with scripture. The book of Leviticus, chapter 26 and 15. I started 14. But if ye will not hearken unto me, and will not do all these commandments, and if ye shall despise my statutes, and if your soul abhor my judgments, so that ye will not do all my commandments, but that ye break my covenant. So this is the Most High talking to the Israelites. And he's telling us, he warned us that if we do these things, go against him, break his covenant, break the commandments. Verse 16, I also will do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, the burning ag. And the terror is happening right in our face. That's why we're telling you it's going to continue happening as long as our people keep going against the Most High. Because at this point, they got the choice to come back to him, and they'll turn around and tell the prophets, get out my face, leave us alone. Y'all mean, y'all this, that, and don't want to do what the Lord saying. He's trying to give them a warning. and the burning egg that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow at heart. And that's what's happening. These people getting sorrow at heart because now they shooting you through your window. Now they coming in your house doing it. Because the Lord don't get your attention.
Mhm.
And it say, and ye shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. And I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you. Is that not what's happening right now? But we still want to go giving them hugs and caressing them and combing our fingers through their hair when they convicted murderers. So the Lord say, they that hate you shall reign over you, and ye shall flee when none pursueth you. And if ye will not yet for all this hearken unto me,
He said, "For all
he
this."
said, if ye will not yet for all this hearken unto me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins. So that's why we say it's going to continue happening because our people is getting more, this interracial is out of control. Our sisters is whoring themselves out at this point. Our brothers is homosexual out and they don't care. And they want to hug and grab on to the enemy. So the Lord say, all right, I'm gonna show. He said, I'm gonna give you 7 times more. That's what I got out.
And he help us out too. A lot of times we out there teaching, they ignore us and don't want to hear this word. The most I was like, okay, well, let me speak. John Dalton, blam. The woman in forward, blam. Tamir Wright, blam. And they still don't want to listen. Okay, you don't want to listen, guess what? This ain't finna stop because it ain't gonna be another month and we're gonna have another national thing everybody looking at.
It's a week go by.
Yeah, that's how they get closer and closer. There used to be a year. And every month, dance gonna be every week, then you're gonna start seeing them every day. Everybody gonna be like, God dang. But that's when the Most High speak. We out there trying to teach y'all up there, talk to people, trying to teach them. They don't listen. So the Most High said, don't worry about it. Hold on, let me speak right quick. Supply out. Wow. And we crying.
Give me Exodus chapter 18, verse 21. Get a couple precepts there. We're going to get up out of there. Like I said, it's a short class. We want to get straight to the point, man, because this is something, like we say, this has to be stopped in Israel. Like we say, we are to repent, come up out of these wicked ways, turn back to the law, statutes, and commandments. And these, you'll find things will run way more smoothly when we do and thus saith the Lord. Read that out.
Exodus 18, such as fear God.
Such as what?
Such as fear God.
Such as fear God, meaning you're going to do what he tell you to do and not exceed authority or have respect of persons or rule like a lion in the congregation. Read on out.
Men of truth. Men
of commandments, because we know that the truth according to the Bible is the law, statutes, and commandments. Read on up.
Hating coveting.
Hating what?
Coveting.
Because guess what? A lot of times brothers have a coveting spirit. Sisters have a coveting spirit. Read on up.
And place such over them to be rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds.
Read on up.
Rulers of 50s and rulers of 10.
Set in the order. Read on up.
And let them judge the people at all seasons.
No, just for a little while.
Sleep at all seasons.
At all seasons. Meaning, guess what? You always are judging. That's what the Most High God is all about. But you always want to give the correct judgment.
That's right.
And not have respect of persons. Read on up.
And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge.
So guess what? It was small matters, according to Matthew 18 and 15, that brothers and sisters could take care of themselves. But it's also harder matters to where the Most High has brothers in leadership. Bring those hard matters to the brothers, and guess what? We'll go through the proper scriptures to give you the proper judgment. Read on up.
So shall it be easier for thyself.
Read that again.
So shall it be easier for thyself.
When we're doing thus saith the Lord, it is easier for brothers and sisters in the congregation and for brothers that's in leadership. Read on up.
And they shall bear the burden with thee.
Read on up.
If thou shalt do this thing, and God command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure.
Read that over again.
If thou shalt do this thing.
If you bring correct judgment, read on up. Now, verse 23 again.
If thou shalt do this thing, and God command thee so.
God commands us to bring righteous judgment. Read on up.
Then thou shalt be able to endure.
Then you are able to endure the trials and tribulation. Then guess what? He puts on us intent and to able to build us up. Because I know a lot of times, man, I'm catching here. But guess what? The Most High God sees something in you that you can't see in yourself right now. He using you to build you up, to get your spirit to that spirit to where he wants you to be, man. Like I say, we trying to get on some 144,000 and 1/3 of the elect type spirits, man. That's the spirits that should be trying to go out each and every day. Like I say, try to be better than the day before, the month before, the week before, the year before. You always want to see yourself growing in the truth. Read on up.
And all this people shall also go to their place in peace.
In what?
In peace.
And with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.
Thank you for you brothers and sisters that's out there on the GoFundMe account, help supporting this group. Thank you for you brothers and sisters. Help push this truth. Hit the like button, share the videos, man. Guess what? We're trying to wake up Israel, man. That's what this is all about. We always bring out a law, and we just gonna go back to what we had at first. Yeah, you can pull that one out. Like I say, today's class was no respect of persons, man. Read that out.
Leviticus 19:15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment.
Read that again.
Ye shall do no unrighteousness in
And
judgment.
it's mainly to the brothers that's in leadership. Don't be bringing down unrighteous judgment. Guess what? Sirach chapter 11, verse 6 and 7 say, understand the matter first, then rebuke. Read on up.
Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty.
Guess what? We cannot have respect of persons. Read on up.
But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor.
And with that, we say shalom once again. Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.
And I'm not serious about that. He put that 3 times in the law.
Yeah, that's right. Any brothers and sisters